This is the Home Tech Podcast show number 64 for March 8th, 2011. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live, actually tonight, broadcasting live from Omaha's Eppley Airfield here in a beautiful Omaha, Nebraska. Another great day. I think spring has arrived for us, and I hope actually winter never comes back. I'm on my way to Chicago, and I thought it'd be a great idea to try and, again, podcast from the airport. Did this, a couple of months ago. We did it for a fitness tech podcast for Spartan Radio, one of those where I podcasted live from Phoenix. And this time I had some time to do it from Omaha. And so welcome to Omaha's Eppley Airfield. The guys are saying that my video is probably better than when I'm at home. And hopefully you like the brick behind me. But we're going to try this podcast from the airport. If you want to reach the show, you can send us an email, podcast@theaverageguy.tv. Track me down on Twitter. I've been mentioning the last couple of weeks, that's really a good way to get a hold of me now because I tweet for work and some of the recruiting I do for Gallup at Jay Collison. You can also find us on Facebook or on iTunes by searching for the Average Guy podcast out there. If you're out on iTunes, drop us a note. That helps with the search rankings. We've set up all links that you'll ever need to download the show automatically. So if you're not downloading it to your iPod or iPad or Android tablet device, jump out to theaverageguy.tv and get that done. All right, quick show tonight, guys, because we've all had a few issues getting live, and so let's go through the cast of characters. Right above me on the screen, at least on my screen, of course, Gary Johnson. Gary is Christian's dad and always fills in for Christian when he's out. Gary, how are you doing this evening?
Just fine, thank you, except for a small cold problem, but other than that, just great.
Little cold problem, few PC problems, but so far so good. You're on. That's a good sign. Welcome to the show. Right above him on my screen, one more up, of course, is Andrew Morris, and Andrew comes to us from Melbourne, Australia. It's nice and sunny there, and he's on his lunch break. Andrew, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm actually on a day off today, so we've got a long weekend this weekend, which is Labor Day, once we're done with the podcast, I'll be cutting the grass, and we're heading to Brisbane for the weekend.
Nice.
Catch up with the family.
Very nice. And you're flying up to Brisbane?
It's
up, right? Up to Brisbane?
Yeah, it's up. It's about a 2.5-hour flight, I think, up there.
Okay, very nice. Well, so you and I will be in the air almost at the same time.
Yeah,
about the time I'm landing, you'll be taking off. So have a safe flight.
Yeah, you too. Maybe Foursquare will say we've both checked in at airports at the same time.
That would be awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. I should say this afternoon for you. And then right below me, Mike Howard, filling in as the podcaster extraordinaire on the recording duties tonight. Mike, we're using all your studio. XSplit? No, what's the name of the?
You got it right. XSplit. Yes.
So We're using XSplit, and I've given you all the right credentials to have access to my live stream, and you're able to get that fired up and are broadcasting live at theaverageguy.tv/live.
Yeah, we're streaming there right now.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for doing that, Mike. I appreciate it.
Holding together.
Yeah. We've all, it's the crazy things that we try and do to get podcasts in. I was on the Home Server show last night, and I started thinking, I think I have a flight tomorrow, and I had totally, how sometimes you just miss those things, the timing on those things, and I had messed that up, and so I appreciate you guys coming out early. We are broadcasting an hour earlier, and I appreciate you guys coming out early. All right, get down to business. Andrew, I want to get to you first because I know you've had some struggles this week with your Windows Home Server, and I don't want to turn this into the Home Server show. We do that on Wednesday nights. But tell me a little bit. You'd had some backups going for someone else, and just quick little synopsis of what happened for you this week.
Yeah, so it seems to have been. I've actually had a fortnight of failing home servers. So a couple of weeks ago, one of the guys at work had his system drive fail on his home server. That one's a fairly easy recovery. It's throw a new disk in and tell it to do a server restore when you do your rebuild. The more challenging one, Michelle's work runs a home server as well because they're just a small business, and it threw a disk on Monday night, Tuesday morning, and a whole heap of sector errors on the data volume. So worked out really, really quickly that you're as good as your last backup, and even though their backup drive had been connected, they hadn't connected the power to it since July last year.
Oh,
So,
I couldn't understand why it didn't work.
yeah, pretty much. So I argued with that for about 15 hours, I think, so far this week, and got all their data back onto it.
oh, you were able to get the data back, huh?
Yeah, out of 65 gig, I think they lost about 140 files. So I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, that's not too bad. And then, so one of the things I wanted to ask you is, so obviously you kind of set it and forget it, right? I mean, on this, you hadn't gone back and checked to make sure that things were updating and that kind of stuff.
Well, I put the onus on them to make sure the backups were getting run. So
Yeah.
always a challenge.
Yeah, that explains it.
Just out of curiosity, Andrew, what model home server and what hard drives were involved?
They were Seagate Enterprise class drives in a home build, but we're going to be replacing it with a HP ProLiant N40L microserver and Enterprise class drives all round, and RAID 1 system volume and RAID 1 data volume, and probably run it on Windows Storage Server 2008 Essentials.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We were mentioning in pre-show, I kind of quit running Windows Home Server for the week or for the month maybe. My 2011 box, I began to have some problems with the backup services, and they just wouldn't work anymore, which basically was going to require a complete reload of Windows 2011, and so I've kind of shut her down. I haven't been backing up any of my PCs. I moved the data files over to a Drobo for backup and storage. I do keep those available in the cloud, so if all has to break loose and my house is burned down, at this point in time, my files are backed up in the cloud. But that has been kind of the saga of my 2011 box, and I haven't had a second of time to just do anything with it. So it's kind of just sitting. That microserver is kind of sitting. I upgraded the memory in it this last weekend, and it's been sitting there ever since.
Before we move on, I'll give you my Windows 2011 Windows Home Server horror story.
Yeah.
I was having some problems, so I decided I was going to uninstall the connector and do a clean install. The little icon on the taskbar was showing gray all the time, and it just didn't seem like it was working right. Can I get this thing reconnected? Absolutely not. It will not. It will not reconnect. I've tried everything. I've been all over the internet. When I go to everything shows like normal when I run the connector routine, and then it says unexpected error, and that's it. All done. So
Yeah.
I don't know whether I'll ever get reconnected.
Yeah, you'll probably have to set it all back up again, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think. Well, this system has got about, the hard drive's got about 512 gigabytes out of out of 2 on this hard drive that's in this box, and there's a lot on here. So I think it's almost time for me to get the SSD and redo the whole system and work out all the bugs, and hopefully that'll bring us back to square one.
You could always run the product clean utility against the machine as well, the one that Microsoft provide, and just make sure there's no remnants left on the machine of the previous agent.
What is it, a product clean?
It's called an MSI cleanup tool.
MSI cleanup?
Yeah, so we'll throw that into the show notes because that one's kind of useful if you've ever got something that you can't work out quite how to get rid of totally.
Yeah, I'll try it. Yeah, because when I did the uninstall, something didn't quite look right. It didn't look like it was a clean uninstall, and that probably is the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a good idea. Well, because I'm a Microsoft MVP and I have access to it, I think I'm going to give Small Business Server 2011 Essentials a shot and just see what that looks like. John Zadler has kind of talked me into that. I'm going to throw it on there, test it, turn on Hyper-V, and I might try some various scenarios with Hyper-V. I haven't messed with Hyper-V yet. As a virtualization solution, I've always been a Oracle VirtualBox guy. So I think this next week's very, very busy. So I'll probably wait 2 weeks. But in fact, next week's show, if you're listening to the recorded version of this, next week's show is going to be a little iffy because my schedule's so crazy. But yeah, SPS 2011 Essentials, which basically gives me 25 PCs. I won't use, I won't use that many client backups. But it gives me an opportunity to mess around with something that I haven't messed around with very much.
Well, you might instead of going that route, Jim. One of the things I was going to bring up on the show tonight, which probably fits in well here, is that everybody's all. I just did the install on Windows 8 Beta on one of my spare machines, but one of the lesser known or discussed topics is that Windows Server 8 Beta is also available. So hopefully in the upcoming week I'm going to find a box and install Windows Server 8 Beta. And one of the things that I did read about was that there's supposed to be some significant improvements in the Hyper-V. So, it might be worth, I don't know, I'm at the point now where I want to kind of position myself in my research to be looking at what's coming down the pike rather than, loading something that I really haven't looked at yet, but is probably technology that's, starting to move towards the stale end.
Yeah.
So,
well, I thought of that, Gary. That was my very first idea was, well, hey, I got a chance. I'm going to use Windows, use Server 8 and mess around with that. The John kind of talked me out of it. One reason, it doesn't have any backup, it doesn't have backup capabilities. And then it's we didn't talk about Hyper-V on Server 8, but we did. It's not all that exciting of an install. Once you get it running, it's just kind of a server.
There. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to mess around with Small Business Server just because, with the Windows Home Server product teetering or gasping for life. I may have to make a quick run at becoming a Small Business Server MVP or something like that.
No, it seems like a good product. I don't know. One of the reasons I never tried it was I'm not sure if it had the user-friendly, theoretically, media features that the home server product has. So I never did get to test that, but I don't know if it has the same level of functionality with the integration. The one thing that I do like about Windows Home Server that I do use is that my media center is tied into the home server. So all of my my Windows Media Center recordings that come off the Ceton card in the center automatically archive to the server. So and that's on the RAID array. So it really makes archiving my recorded media really handy. And that's a feature I wouldn't give up just to go to a small business server or any other server. So that's a Windows Home Server feature that you get nowhere else. That if you've got a Media Center PC connected to it, you can archive your recordings and keep your Media Center clean and keep all your recorded television on a storage server under Windows Home Server. So that's one feature I like about it.
You're 100% right on that. And so I've got a little bit of soul searching to do when it comes to backup. I've got first I need to get a little bit of time to mess around with it, but I do have a little bit of work to do to kind of figure out where I'm going. 2011 has taken a little has taken kind of a hit on the chin. It didn't have the greatest rollout to begin with, and then so with some of the errors that they had on the most recent roll-up patches, I'm kind of like, come on, guys, you're killing me, and I'm supposed to know about these things, as an MVP. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think both Microsoft and the marketplace has lost a little bit of interest in the product, and it just seems to be an orphan child at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. Andrew?
Yeah, I was just going to say that's kind of why I'm going to Storage Server Essentials, primarily because I still get my client backup.
Yeah.
But it's not home server.
Right.
I think it's a bit of it's starting to look like it's a bit of a lost child.
Right.
What they do next time in the next iteration with Windows 8, hopefully they'll give it a new incarnation. But I think that's going to largely remain to be seen as well.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's one of the features that they're rolling into Server '08, if I'm not mistaken, is a very similar storage scheme to what we saw in Windows Home Server, where you basically can combine the hard drives into storage pools.
right.
So, you know,
Right.
I'm not totally clear on exactly how that implementation works, but it sounds like it may be somewhat similar to Server version 1, actually.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah,
we
storage spaces. Yeah.
we kind of talk about that ad nauseum over at the Home Server Show. So rather than, and most of the folks that listen to this listen to that as well. And if you don't, head over to homeservershow.com, look up 174, and we spend a little bit of time talking about that technology, and we'll just leave it over there at the Home Server Show. So, yeah, some cool things coming out with Windows 8, and if I was at home, I would show you some more things on the Windows 8, but that's going to be a topic we're going to talk about for quite a while. Let's move on to a few other things. Gary, you've got some things listed here in the notes.
Yeah. Let me pull them back up so I
Yeah.
can remember what I was talking about. I remember a while back ago, you and I had some discussions about music and music libraries and streaming and whatnot. And so over the past few weeks, I'd actually been giving it some thought, because I got involved with this project from a friend of mine in Texas that didn't have a server. He was into Subsonic like I was. He had a pretty large library, so I told him, I said, you know, I can host your library on one of my servers, and I'll give you the admin privileges. So basically, he's running his subserver or his Subsonic site on one of my servers. So I'm his cloud. So he was telling me about how he buys music. He's kind of grandfathered into some service that's actually overseas, that's very low cost, and there was some lawsuit, and he's kind of grandfathered into being able to use this, but it's no longer available to U.S. citizens. So I'm not sure exactly how that worked. But I did some research online, and basically I wanted to kind of put into perspective what the average guy is probably evaluating and what makes sense for him to go if he's interested in music.
Sure.
So in my case, in some of the cases where there's a lot of people like myself that have been collecting music for a long time, and if you've got a substantial, sizable library where, I don't know, I think I'm up to almost 300 gigabytes in size now. So it really doesn't make sense for me to subscribe to a service that I'm going to pay a monthly fee to, because my music investment costs on a per month basis are probably lower than if I was to subscribe to a service that maybe had a larger library, but I would be paying more just to listen to maybe something I don't already have in my library.
Sure.
So I did some research, and if you go to mp3obsessionreviews.com, the link is in the show notes, I found this site called ivave.com, and it's in Australia, if Andrew's aware of it. And several of their tracks are 320 kilobyte per second MP3s, and it's a nickel a track.
Really?
So yeah, so you can, I did some research, and everything appears to be legal. There doesn't seem to be any problem with it. It's all DRM, 5% or 5 cents a track. So you know, you get an album with 20 tracks on it. Big deal. You're spending $1.
How many tracks do they have to select from?
Music library is 2,645,755.
And how does that compare to iTunes? Do you know?
Oh, iTunes, you're paying 99 cents a track.
Oh, no. I mean, from a selection standpoint.
Yeah. Let me think if I can get.
And Gary, did you look and see? I mean, is it 2 million crap, or is it?
I looked for a couple things on there that I would maybe download, and it all seemed pretty reasonable.
And this is ivave.com, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And let's see. It looks fairly sizable. I'm not sure how big iTunes is. but they compared it to 5 of their other top selections, and the libraries all seem to range. iWave is 2.6 mil, and everything else is from 1.5 to 3.6 million tracks in size. So again, it seems reasonably sized, and the selection seemed reasonable, and the price is outstanding. So, like I say, if you can buy an album for $1, and it's a 320 kilobit MP3, you're getting, so like I say, I could buy 5 or 10 albums on average per month and still be paying less than a subscription service. So,
and
but
Gary, did you say they're DRM free?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there's no DRM on them that I'm aware of, and
But
That's a
you
pretty
haven't
good
tried
deal.
this yet, right? You haven't
no,
gone out there.
I've been on the site. I haven't actually bought any music yet, but I'm probably going to just for fun. And
Okay,
there's
well, the true test of a library is, do they have any Huey Lewis? So we're going to go out and see what they've got, because that's Mike Howard and I's favorite group, right? Huey Lewis, right, Mike?
Yes, it is. Yes.
He's,
So I play every
he's
Tuesday
on
night.
mute.
I've got his greatest hits and Time Flies, the best of Huey Lewis.
Yeah.
There's a minimum top up on the you get your account and you have to put in a minimum of $10. There's no album discount at 5 things a song. You get free 5 songs as a registration bonus, and you can use PayPal. So I can't see it as being much of a risk. But so I think that's really fitting for somebody who's already got a large library and uses something like Subsonic, where you have access to all your music all the time, and it's primarily what you listen to. But if you're a younger kid who doesn't have a large library, then I think you're probably better off going with a streaming service, because you're going to already have immediate access to a huge library for a reasonable cost, and you don't have to worry about maintaining an infrastructure. So, you don't have to worry about setting up a server, worrying about a hard drive crash, paying the utility expenses to have access to it online, etc., and doing all the software setup. So, for somebody in that situation, I think you're better off with, a Spotify, Pandora, Last.fm, or MOG, Radio Slacker, TuneIn Radio, or other nice services. And the best free streaming is rated as Grooveshark, which I've used, which has some nice stuff on it. And so I think that's pretty much, I think, what puts it in perspective. If you don't have a big library already, then you really want to look at a streaming service that fits your needs, has the music you want at a reasonable monthly fee. Then you're not worried. Then you don't have the hassles of doing the technical setup and the infrastructure and internet connection constant and the whole 9 yards. But if you have a huge collection, Subsonic and a service like iWave where you can buy them cheap does make sense.
Yeah. Now, like with the Grooveshark, of course, those start free, but then to get them on your mobile device, you're going to pay $4.99 or $9.99.
Right.
And so that it is. I mean, for folks who listen to music on their PC, there's no need to buy music anymore. I mean,
right. And so even at $10 a month, you're talking $120 a year. That's cheaper than a hard drive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Andrew, how do you kind of consume your music? I mean, how do you do that?
I'm old school. I still download it when I don't have a physical copy of it, and then throw it on an iPod, and listen to it in the car, or if I'm on a plane or something like that, just with earbuds. I don't. Okay. I haven't moved to online. I'm not a huge fan of subscriber-based services for things like music. I'd rather buy it or and know that I've got a physical copy of it to fall back on, as well as a soft copy once I've ripped it.
Yeah. Do you listen to the radio in your car?
Ironically, I listen to more podcasts than anything else. So,
yeah.
I go through a phase of at the moment, I'm in a phase of listening to a lot of Ian Dixon stuff to try and catch up. I've just caught up on Home Service Show and BYOB, and I listen to the geek stuff that interests me rather than music. More so.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, and I've gone to so when I run, about the only time I listen to music for the most part now is when I run my long runs. If it's probably less than 6 miles, I'm probably not listening to music. That's just not worth all the setup to have to do it. But on some of the 6+, so 10, 12, I've got 16 this weekend. I'll throw the earbuds in and just throw it on Pandora and pick a channel. I usually pick a rock and roll channel. And for me, that has worked really, really well. And you get a few commercials here and there, but it's I imagine I could. There's a couple other service providers that I could use that for, but I just don't. I've got 30 gig of music that nobody ever listens to anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know. My wife does. She loads. Oh, hold on here.
Boarding your plane.
I think, are they boarding already? Let me go walk down there. Here, I'll
Yeah,
wonder.
You're seeing it live on the Average Guy broadcast.
Well, they said 7:30 and it's only 6:45, so I think maybe that's another flight. I rarely do they move flights up, so I think I'm okay. But I think I'm going to check here in just a second. Mike Howard, how are you consuming?
I do it the same way as you. I do Pandora. I listen to Pandora on my phone, but I also a lot like Andrew, where I mainly listen to podcasts. Even when I'm in my truck driving, and I plug in my phone to the podcast. Andrew did not list one podcast. I hope he's listening to. But
and I also listen to JPEG to RAW.
But I listen to that when I want to listen to music. Even when I'm here at my computer, I'm usually using Pandora. I don't want to have to pay for a subscription.
Yeah. That's the accountant in you, though, isn't it, Mike?
I guess it is, but also because I've gotten what I want out of Pandora.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Pandora, I don't think has got the immersion down here yet, unless you use a proxy server to make it look like you're coming from the US. So that's the biggest problem that we have down here, is the availability of online streaming. So you do tend to be a little bit more restricted to what you can put on your device. I'm a bit like you, Jim, when I run. Yeah. Yeah, we can see the roof of the airport now.
But so you can't hear me, huh?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. This is like
Okay.
Dave McCabe
I think
from
my
the show
latency
floor in
is all.
CS.
You think your plane's taking off?
I kind of like it, huh? No. I'm just going to double check now. Let's see.
Point your camera down a bit and show us Omaha Airport, Jim.
It said, let's see, Southwest. Hold on, I better. Oh, sorry. How's that?
Oh, there we go. That's a good shot because now we can see all the people there.
Yeah, I better double check here. I would hate to miss my flight, and they'd be like, okay, 14. So I'm on Southwest 1438. If you're following along in the chat, let's see, 1438. Let's see, 14. Oh, those are arrivals.
Let's
Let's
do a
look at
spot
departures.
interview. Just pick somebody.
Is that 14?
I almost did that when, 1438 Southwest out of Omaha.
Delayed.
Go and talk to the guy behind you in the suit. He looks depressed.
It's delayed. Departs in 57 minutes.
Yeah, it says now 8 p.m. So I'm a little see, you want to see? There is wonderful Eppley Airfield here in Omaha. What do you think?
Is
Looks
there
like an
anybody else
airport.
there? Uh-oh.
Hold on. Should I just pull somebody in? Hey, do you want to be on the Home Tech podcast? Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Although your video, okay, now it's coming back. Yeah, now it's back.
Hold on.
Now we
Okay.
have a good one.
Yeah. So you guys can still hear me. It's I think it's.
Yeah, that's
think,
impressive it held
it's-
together.
I'm going through some various spots with Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed that it held together as you walk
Yeah,
around.
but
Can you hear us?
Uh-oh.
Did I just jinx us?
Somebody just fell out.
I think it might have been Jim.
I think it is.
But he's still there, isn't he? Y'all can hear me, right?
I can see him moving.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
the three of us are still good.
I wonder if we're going to lose him, but he's there.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Can you
you
hear me
go.
now? Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep. Did you hit the mute button?
Oh, hand signals.
Uh-oh. Okay, we're playing charades on the Home Tech podcast here. One word.
I got two of those. Yeah. It's just so much fun.
And he can hold that pose really well.
Yeah. And he hasn't moved an inch. Oh, jeez.
The remarkable stability. So yes. So
Well,
1
should
hour,
we keep going with the next subject?
Yeah, let's
Yes.
keep going.
Absolutely.
Gary, you were talking. Were you done with talking about the Compare M3? What was it called?
Yeah, I just
MP3 obsession.
like I say, I just thought for people who were interested in music, like I say, I gave a lot of thought to what I did and what Jim was talking about, and like I say, I think if you do have a large library, if you're interested in maintaining, then obviously the cheapest download service you can find that's legal makes the most sense, and you can really get away with doing that to just periodically add to your library at a price that's competitive with subscribing to a premium online service. And as Jim and Andrew point out, you really don't even need to do that to get music when you go with a free service like Pandora. So yeah, I mean, I think those are the best options. And for somebody who already doesn't have the hardware and the infrastructure and still wants access to a lot of music, then an online service does make a lot of sense. And that was all I was trying to communicate.
And I had pulled up that page, the MP3 Obsessions page, a minute ago. I showed it in the live stream. If anybody wants to go to that site, MP3 Obsession.
And let's see, iTunes music library is rated at 10 million. So it is considerably larger. As opposed to the 2.6 that iVave is. The average on this Music Obsession shows library sizes between 1.5 and 3.5 million on average. So yes,
Right.
iTunes is probably your Cadillac site with the biggest library. But it's 99 cents per track, so I'm not interested in paying 20 times the price just to say I downloaded mine from iTunes.
And these are ranging from 5 cents to 15 cents, 16 cents.
Right. And that's in the sites that they're comparing. iVave,
Right.
all the tracks on iVave are only a nickel a piece.
Right.
That's pretty, and that's pretty good value in anyone's books, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's all DRM free. So, like I say, I don't know. Why would you do it any other way?
We got Jim
Yeah,
back.
true. And our governor.
So we've closed that topic.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Can you guys can you hear me again?
Yeah, we can.
Anything?
But-
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
But your finger still isn't frozen up at a number 1, so
Uh-oh. I think he's freezing up again.
Uh-oh, someone's surfing for stuff they shouldn't be at Omaha Airport.
I think so.
Well, we can go on to the next thing. What was did you have something on Lifehacker, or was that all part of that discussion there, Gary?
I covered everything I had in my notes.
Okay.
Over to you, Michael.
I'm just here to broadcast.
Oh, okay.
We're on to you. You had something you want to talk about Windows Home Server, didn't you?
No, we've had that
We
rant.
covered that. The only other thing that I
We
would
covered
just,
that in the pre-show. Did we cover that in the live show?
Yeah.
Oh,
I guess the only other thing that I would like to mention, just because I always do, and I think my regular fans would probably be upset if I didn't mention the status of hard drives.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like the peak is over. I think we've rounded the hump, and they seem to be backing off on price a little bit. So hopefully we'll get back to where we were 18 months ago, where you could buy. It was just amazing how cheap hard drives were back then.
So what's a 2 terabyte running these days?
$199?
Yeah, see,
So
that's still up there. So it's come off its peak.
Yeah.
But you're right. Because I'm going to be in the market to get some hard drives before long, and I'd like them to get back down. Where was the bottom? Wasn't it around $100?
I was buying Samsung F4s, and they are an excellent drive. They're really fast for a 5400 RPM drive. They're quiet, they're cool, and I haven't had any problems with any of them. I've got 8 of them in my RAID array. I was buying those for $69 a piece.
Wow.
And they're now $149.
And I think the 7200 RPMs were still a little bit over 100, maybe 109, something like that. Is that right? Or did they even go below 100?
They even cracked 100 at one point, I believe. Not, I'm trying to remember because I was buying those Seagate XTs, and I think I was paying about 129 for those, if I'm not mistaken. That sounds about right. The same drive now, that same drive now is 239.
Good gosh.
So,
We got Jim back from here. You having some issues there, Jim?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I was, yeah. Yeah, no, I can. I can hear you real well, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did is, I think the Google Plus plugin crapped out. And so I was in a spot, I guess the internet wasn't as good in the spot that I thought, I don't know. So I just moved to the other end of the airport, and I got 4 bars, full signal strength, and it should be some pretty good video. So here's I don't know if you guys can see are you getting some fairly decent video?
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
those are beautiful seats behind you.
Thank you. Thank you. So now
I don't know,
I
point you
really
the chairman.
am out of everybody. Very nice. Yeah.
Busy.
So I don't. I heard you guys talking about what were hard drive prices.
Yeah, I was just commenting, seeing as how, like I pointed out to our compadres, that my regular fans would probably be disappointed if I didn't give the state of the hard drive prices. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the 2 terabyte 7200s are now between 200 and 230, 240. So yeah, they've come off their peak. The 3 terabytes, you can actually get a 3 terabyte drive for $200,
Oh, that's not too bad.
and that's not bad at all. Like I say, that Seagate 7200, which was the old model, the XT, which is actually slightly faster. At its peak, those things were going at 429 a pop. And that's the same drive that I was buying those for like 139, 149 before the flood.
Right.
So we're not back to where we were, but we've certainly come off the high. And you can get a Seagate 7200 RPM 3 terabyte drive now for between 200 and 250.
Well, I'm gonna try and hold out for a little while until they get even further down.
Yeah, me too. I wanna wait until they get back to where the market is flooded and they got excess inventory and they're looking to clean out. And I still think the deal of the day, I mean, if you're going to invest in new hardware and you want to upgrade your overall systems, memory prices continue to fall. SD cards, micro SD cards, SSD drives, they're all reasonably priced in comparison to just about anything else that's being sold in the market right now. So,
Jim, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I still say memory upgrades are really the best place to put your money right now if you'd need any.
Yeah, memory is good. SSD is good. Jim has often talked about some of the old drives he has lying around. It's 60 gig here, 80 gig there, whatever it is. Well, I have a bunch of those lying around too, and one of them is saving my bacon tonight. As it is running, I got a 60 gig hard drive running pfSense right now.
Really? And that's a 60 gig SATA drive, Mike?
It is actually a SATA drive. I have most of the ones I have that small are IDE.
Yeah.
I just said, let me pick the SATA. Maybe it's going to be more dependable.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure that's where things are going to live because I'm kind of hacked together right now.
Yeah. Well, you're holding that thing together until the podcast is over, and then it's done after that. But yeah, sometimes it's good to have a little extra hardware laying around, isn't it?
It is, you can say part of my claim to fame was the super router article I put together and the virtualization of all that. I'm going away from that, and instead, what I'm going to do is take some of those 80 gig drives and all that, and put a fully installed PF Sense on it. And if one of them craps out, I'll just take the bad hard drive out, slap in a new hard drive, bam, back up and running.
If you want, Mike, I got a bunch of drive caddies here for IDE drives. If you're going to use IDE drives, you just take and pop it out.
That is awesome. I used to have a bunch of those too. And you know what? I don't know. Do you guys ever feel like you want a number of items? Let's say you want a number of the CD sleeves, or you want a number of those things you have right there, Gary. And by the time you get to the point where you go, now I've got what I need, you really no longer need them?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, the technology's passed you by.
Interesting story about a month ago, a friend of mine called, runs a small business, his own business. They do merchandising for advertising stuff. And they called me and they were having trouble with one of their computers. So, of course, I took my number one tech with me. He sat down while I'm shooting the breeze with my buddy, he sits down at the computer that's having a problem and he goes, "Oh, Dad, it's got a bad video card." And you know what? It's the same video card we took out of his music teacher's box like about 6 months ago, and I know it's laying in the basement. Let's run home and get it. So we ran home. It was the exact same card I had lying on the shelf. It was an old ATI Radeon thing that is 100 years old. I think it's an AGP card, as a matter of fact. And we drove back, popped it in the guy's machine. Oh yeah, beautiful. Guy gives me a check for $100. He says, "Here, this is for Christian." I said, "Yep, thank you very much." Thank you. And it was like I say, what are the odds? The identical card. But I got stuff like that all over the place, and
You know, Gary, that's why I don't throw things away either. My mother-in-law's computer, which is a Dell, started acting up, and my first thought always is, are you turning it off as soon as you turn it on? You know, she could do some crazy stuff. So I brought it home, and sure enough, it was her video card that was the problem. And I said, I've got tons of crappy video cards lying around. Yeah. And I just took one out, took hers out. I think what had happened was the fan had died on it. Right. And it was overheating pretty quickly, and whatever it was is killing it. I got one that was fanless, stuck it in there, because she's not doing any graphically heavy, work. Stuck that in there, and it's been running fine ever since.
Yeah, it's amazing how many times I've bailed other people out with spare parts, and and who calls you, and what do they want to bring you? They want to bring you something that's running like Windows 98. It's a Dell, and it's got 2 feet of dust inside the case, and so, whether it's old memory chips out of old systems or laptops, whether it's a VESA video card or an AGP card or a PCI card or whatever, it just seems like I've always got enough laying around that we can put some bubble gum and baling wire in there and it'll work. Don't worry. And you slap it together and they walk away happy. So I guess it's a pain keeping all this junk, but it does tend to come in handy from time to time.
I've kind of organized mine. I got kind of little, Tupperware, not Tupperware, but, rubber cases and stuff like that, and bins, and put it in that, and a little wire shelf from Home Depot. I got like a little store. So, when I need something, I just go in there and get it.
Well, you're going to have to send me some photos of your setup, because I could use some organizational help. I'm the type that, let's see, I think it's in that box back there on the underneath, But we do have like a box of power cords, a box of USB cords, a box of this, Cat 5, and a box of, So we have some sort of organizational stuff, but at a certain point, a lot of it is just a bunch of cards in a box that maybe, like the old modem cards. I got a dozen old modem cards that I've stripped out of PCs along the way. They're all in a box somewhere, and they're probably with my I laugh. You know, how many people even know what an AST 6-pack card is?
Yeah.
And
what?
I got one of those in there somewhere. And that was the first expansion card for the IBM PC that allowed you to bring your memory up to, are you ready for this? 640
Okay.
K. Yeah, you went from your original 64K and your IBM. Let's see, I had 256K on the motherboard, which was the most you could put on at that time, and then the AST board added the 384K to bring you up to your 640K, and everything above 640K up to your 1024 was reserved for ROM space in the original IBM PC. So I was a power user. I had 640 kilobytes.
And you thought that was quite a bit.
It was exceptional. I was
Yeah.
king of the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think, guys, I found the optimal spot in the airport. I think I finally have. You know, so I moved over and I thought I was in a good spot, and then I thought, oh, I better check my phone and see what's going on, and then I realized I'd left my phone over at the old spot, and I'm like, ah. So I hightailed it over there, and lost my connection on the way over, and then walked back over, and I've got a pretty good spot right here, but. It's probably time to have me wrap this thing up, and of course you guys can stay around and chat if you'd like. But the flight does look delayed, but I think they'll probably start boarding here in the next 20 minutes or so. So I should probably wrap this up.
So you're bored?
Yeah, I've got to think about packing for a weekend away.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I like the look, Andrew. You've got my summer look, you know. So.
Yeah, I think I probably need to tidy that up a bit too and take another few mil off it.
You don't have to, but I said,
Yeah.
Andrew, I got home today at 4:30, and I had to leave the house again at 5 for this trip. So I had about 30 minutes to get things packed. So it's nothing like cutting it short. Well, guys, thanks for taking the time. A crazy show, and I don't know how productive we were, but we did get one in. And I want to thank you guys for listening, whether you listen live or you're catching it on the download over at theaverageguy.tv. We do podcast every Thursday, and I say that, and yet the Thursdays just seem to get nailed for me lately. So we'll keep trying it. Next week maybe a little sketchy, so watch me on Twitter at Jay Collison. I want to thank Mike Howard over there at JPEG to Raw for hosting the show. Mike, thanks for doing what you do. I hope it went all right tonight with XSplit.
I think it went great.
thanks, Mike.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we just lose Jim right here at the end?
He looks immobile again, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, that's not XSplit. That's
We want to
Jim's
thank
connection.
Andrew for being here as always, and I'm
Thank
going to
you,
thank
guys.
myself because I'm not here very often. So I think we got all of Jim's bases covered, and let's hope he makes his flight.
Yeah.
And
Thanks, guys.
have a great weekend wherever you are.
Thanks, Andrew. You too. Enjoy your trip and your visit with your family.
Yeah, y'all have a great weekend. I got to work tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah,
Sounds
but we just lost Jim.
I've got no comment. I can't.
And if Jim wants, I can do this for him again next week if he's traveling. It's pretty easy. He was able to set me up with a connection to his live stream account. And one of the beauties of XSplit is you can broadcast to multiple places really easy. Here he is. Maybe he'll close it out for us.
Now he's back.
You want to close it out for us, Jim?
Yeah, I'm going to try. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't hear me. I'm a little bit behind, but anyway, so let's wrap this up. You can contact us if you want to send an email, podcast@theaverageguy.tv, and, of course, catch me on Twitter at Jay Collison. Guys, thanks again for doing it tonight, and we'll make a shot at it next Thursday night, and hopefully in the month of April we'll get a little bit back on track with the Home Tech Podcast. Everyone have a good night. Andrew, you have a safe trip now as you head up to Brisbane.
Yep, you too, Jim. Have a good weekend.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Hey,
Yeah,
Jim.
both of you guys have a safe trip.
Will do.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Good night.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Okay, Mike. Just
broadcasting.
yeah, you can stop. That's good. Thanks. If anybody's, I doubt anybody's listening live at this point.